Grades. For most of us, they're the first way we ever learn to measure ourselves. We're taught to chase them, we stress out over them, and we let them decide just how smart we are. But what if that whole system is kind of built on a lie? Today, we're going to tear that idea apart.
Seriously, just let that one sink in for a second. This quote really forces you to look outside the classroom and see the world for what it is. I mean, think about the people who really change things. The entrepreneurs, the artists, the inventors. How many of them were perfect, straight-A students? And how many were the ones who just refused to play by the rules?
So, if grades aren't a pure measurement of how smart you are, then what are they even for? To figure that out, we've got to pop the hood and see how this whole system actually works.
Okay, let's just be honest. The traditional school system is amazing at rewarding one specific skill: compliance. It teaches you how to play a very specific game, how to study for this test, how to format that essay, and how to give the teacher the exact answer they're looking for. And look, following instructions is a useful skill, for sure, but it is such a tiny, tiny piece of what it actually means to be intelligent. This right here shows you the huge disconnect. On one side, you have what grades measure: following instructions, memorizing facts, and performing well inside a closed system. But then you look at what intelligence actually is. It's about solving messy, real-world problems. It's about adapting when things go wrong. And it's about being curious when no one is even telling you to be. They're just two completely different things. And this is where the blind spots are just massive. A grading system has absolutely no way to measure your creativity. It can't see your resilience or that deep-down passion that makes you work on something for hours just because you love it. A grade is just a snapshot of one moment in time. It can't possibly capture the whole landscape of who you could become.
And listen, this isn't just some academic debate. This obsession with grades has a very real, very human cost. And that brings us to the danger of boiling a whole person down to just a number.
So let's be super clear here. This is not an attack on school or on teachers. The real danger, the part where this system becomes toxic, is when we start to believe it. It's when we let a letter on a page define our own self-worth.
I need to say this as plainly as possible. A low grade does not mean you are stupid. All it means is that you didn't do well on one specific task inside one very rigid system on one particular day. That's it. It's feedback on a performance, not a final verdict on you. And hey, the flip side is just as true. Getting straight A's is not a golden ticket. It proves you've mastered the game of school, yeah, but that doesn't automatically mean you'll succeed in a world that needs way more than just good test-taking skills. It doesn't mean you'll be a great leader or an innovator.
Okay, so if we're gonna knock grades off the pedestal, what do we replace them with? It's about time we reclaimed a truer and honestly, a much more empowering way to think about what it means to be smart.
This is the new foundation. This is the mindset shift. Intelligence isn't some score that someone gives you. It's an active process. It's about how you engage with the world, the questions you ask, the connections you make, the way your mind works. It's alive and it's personal, and there's no way a single rank could ever capture that. Think about it this way. The school system is basically designed for early bloomers, the people who can get into the rhythm of school really quickly. But so many brilliant minds take longer to find their thing. They're the late bloomers who might not discover what they're truly passionate about until their 20s or 30s or even later. The system just doesn't have any patience for that journey.
So, if grades aren't the ultimate answer, then what is? Let's talk about the skills that actually matter, the real things that are going to define your ability to thrive in the future.
Let's start with this one because it is absolutely critical. Can you learn on your own? In a world that changes so fast, your formal education has an expiration date. The single most valuable skill you can ever have is that internal fire to go find knowledge yourself long after any final exam. All right, next up, can you stay disciplined when things get, boring? It's easy to be motivated when a project is new and exciting, but real success happens in that boring middle part, the tedious, repetitive work that nobody ever sees. The ability to grind through that's a superpower. And finally, this might be the most important question of all. Can you think for yourself? School often teaches you what to think, but life rewards people who know how to think. Can you challenge what everyone else says, form your own opinions, and stand by them? That's where all true innovation comes from. The ability to learn on your own, to push through the boredom, and to think for yourself. That is intelligence. It's not about remembering things. It's about actively engaging with the world. It's about what you can do, not just what you've memorized. So as we wrap this up, just remember this.
A report card is a piece of paper. It's a history of how you did in a very specific artificial environment. But your potential, that's something else entirely. It's your future, and it is totally limitless, waiting for you to define it on your own terms.
At the end of the day, it all comes down to this simple, powerful truth. Don't ever let a number convince you that you're small. Your intelligence is unique, it's dynamic, and it is 100% your own. Never, ever forget that.